My name is Karen Drums, and I designed and teach PHY 111, Descriptive Astronomy, a general education science elective for non-science majors. Before I take you on a tour of the course, let me give you a bit of background about how this course came to be. About 3 years ago, I was taking several MOOCs on a variety of topics, including the universe, the solar system, and instructional design. All of these courses were video-based, without a textbook in sight. And then, in the summer of 2015, the New Horizons probe flew past Pluto. I followed its progress on Twitter and Instagram, and by watching live NASA press conferences. I learned about tholins and water ice mountains and flowing nitrogen glaciers, all from my iPhone, iPad, and laptop. So I decided I should redesign my online descriptive astronomy course from being a rather traditional read this chapter, do these activities, and take a quiz type of course to one that makes use of all the visually rich resources available in astronomy. At that point, a fortuitous confluence of events occurred. OpenStax published their beta version of an open educational resource astronomy text, and my college got a site license for the Adobe Creative Cloud apps. I started taking free online professional development courses from Adobe to learn how to process raw data images from the Juno probe in Photoshop, draw HR diagrams in Illustrator, and mash up public domain images and videos from NASA into movies using Premiere Pro. I even created this avatar to create short animations like this in Character Animator. Let's look at some of the exemplary practices I used to bring all that together in the course. The first practice is the consistent design of the course. I organized the course by week, with each week having the same activities in it. There is a natural progression from an overview of the content to presentation of learning activities to assessment activities that progress through higher order thinking skills. This consistent approach helps ensure students understand what is required of them to succeed in the course. The support of higher order thinking skills is the second exemplary practice reviewers mentioned that I want to showcase. The learning activities focus on the supporting skills of remembering, understanding, and applying knowledge, while the social activities, sapling learning assignment, virtual lab, and exam essay question require students to analyze, evaluate, and create their own understanding of the course objectives. The ECP reviewers also commented on the use of multimedia in the course, so let's look at some examples of how all of those Adobe courses paid off. Each week starts with a brief 2 to 3 minute video overview of the required activities of the week that I did in Spark Video. Those activities include what I call learning activities, which are short Blackboard Learn tests with embedded video micro-lectures. The videos are actually narrated PowerPoints that I saved as MP4s and uploaded to YouTube. The PowerPoints are visually oriented, using many diagrams, illustrations, photographs, and videos I created with the Adobe apps, but with very little printed text. I do provide a transcript for students to use as a reference. The questions ensure that students are interacting with the video content and not just passively watching them. I also include video overviews of the virtual labs that show how to use the lab interactive to gather the data needed for the virtual lab. One exemplary practice that I find very important is the concept of regular and substantive interaction. That's how the Department of Education distinguishes between a distance education course and a correspondence course. Students interact with each other by completing a social activity every week. This is either an in the news blog posting, where they find a current news article about a given topic, like the Juno probe presently in orbit around Jupiter, or a discussion about a contemporary, often controversial topic in astronomy, such as funding for NASA. They're required to respond to the postings of their classmates, but I use specific criteria outlined in a rubric for what the initial posting and the replies must contain. In addition to hearing my mellifluous voice in all of those videos, students have several chances to interact with me. For example, with the In the News blog, students must include a question they still have after reading their article. This not only requires them to evaluate their own understanding, a higher order thinking skill, it gives me a chance to answer their question in the feedback to the graded assignment. I also provide specific feedback to their virtual lab assignments, indicating where and how they may have gone wrong with their analysis, but praising them for specifically insightful conclusions as well. I also make my own blog postings periodically throughout the course, and I participate in discussions when I want to get them to think about something they may not have already considered. The final exemplary practice I want to show you is my use of some simple gamification techniques. First, I use the Achievements tool to let students know when they have completed all the work for the week. I allow students to turn work in late, but rather than penalize students who submit work late by taking points off, I reward students who submit their work on time. They earn bonus points each week in which they submit their work on time, and the bonus increases as long as they keep submitting work on time. But if they miss a week, the amount of the bonus resets. This increases the reward as the semester continues, while, as we know, motivation tends to go down. I also use a weekly winner award to showcase learning behavior from one student that I want other students to emulate, like posting their social activity early in the week or completing the learning activities multiple times. This is something I totally stole from those Adobe classes I took, which is another reason I encourage all online instructors to take online courses themselves. You never know what technique you might learn. While it was very rewarding to be recognized for the exemplary course design, going through the exemplary course review process has given me ideas for improving the course even further. For example, I want to streamline the design, drawing a greater distinction between the required and optional course activities, and using fewer clicks to get to specific parts of the course. I plan on editing the narration of videos in the learning activities and publishing them as podcasts students can download to their phone to listen to at their convenience to enhance the use of mobile learning. And finally, I want to use my Ask Your Professor character to provide an overall narrative of the course, to emphasize that the further we get in the course, the further away from Earth we are moving, and the further back in time we're observing. I hope all that will inspire in students an understanding of the wonders of the universe. And I hope this virtual tour has inspired you to try to make your online courses even more exemplary. And I encourage everyone to participate in Blackboard's Exemplary course program. You may be as surprised at what you learn as I was.